had lost all hope of recovery. His disease was the result, now listen to this, his disease was the result of a life of sin, and his sufferings were embittered by remorse. He had long before appealed to the Pharisees and doctors, hoping for relief, listen to this, from mental suffering first. What can people get from us if they are mentally suffering? If they are emotionally suffering? And even though they may be in the situation that they are in because of what they did do, the author says right here, like the leper, the paralytic had lost all hope of recovery. His disease was the result of a life of sin. Do you know what it's like to wake up in the morning and look at your life and look at your situation and realize that your situation that you're in is because of what you have been doing or because of what you have not been doing? That now you are in the midst of this because of you. You can't blame anybody else. You can't put it off on anybody else. And this thing has now affected you. It's now pulled you down. And you are now living the way you're living. And now you want help. And you go to somebody in the church. See, I'm not going to say you go to the church. I'm going to say you go to somebody in the church. Because if I say you go to the church, then what we do, we try to throw that off corporately. And blame it on the church as a whole. And say, oh, the church is not helping. No, you and I are not helping. You and I, who are supposed to be the ones who are supposed to be the depositories of God's grace, at times are too busy judging, thinking negative of other people who may be struggling to try to just get it together. But because of the way we view them, they already have a misconception of God because of what they're going through, and they think God won't help them. And then they come to us because they can see us, and we treat them like trash. I'm just being blunt. I don't understand. I'm guilty of it too. I don't understand how you and I can run to God for forgiveness. But if we know of someone else, and now, folks, I'm not talking about someone who refuses to change. But even people like that, we are still supposed to show love and compassion and mercy. It doesn't mean that I agree with what you're doing, but I don't have a hell to put you in or a heaven to keep you out of. But when people are broken and they know they messed up, and they're trying to find their way back, what they need from us is to be part of the catalyst that God wants to use to help them to understand His love.
Amen.
Yes.
See, the problem is you and I are too busy being afraid of God, that He has gotten us to the point where He's trying to... Now listen, don't get me wrong, I'm not being sacrilegious, and I got to get back to my notes so we can wrap this up. See, we're supposed to fear God. He's God. It's a reverential fear. It's a different type of fear than the fear of a police officer pulling you over on the side of the road. It's a different type of fear than the fear of a tornado coming through your neighborhood. Can I share something with you real quick? Sidebar. When you go back to Exodus chapter 2, don't do it now, but read the story of how when God gave the children of Israel the Ten Commandments and how he was trying to impress upon them when the Bible talks about fear. See, sometimes I got to use fear to get your attention. It's not where I want you to stay. You all got children. A lot of y'all got children, grandchildren, nieces. Yeah, when your baby is first born, I don't care how cute he or she is, and those big old eyes looking at you. That baby might be happy to see you, but that baby's not in love with you. That baby don't know you. That baby just got here. That baby has come out of 9 months of being in comfort and security, and now it's out here. And so now as that little baby is growing up and he's walking around, he or she. Now that baby might like you, know you're the one that feeds, put the pamper on when they cry, but that baby is still growing. So now you tell the baby, don't run out into the street. That baby doesn't understand don't run out in the street, except for you said don't run out in the street. So what do? You do like my mom and daddy did. You put the fear in mom and daddy. You spank that booty to tell, I told you not to do that. Now, the only reason I didn't do it again was not because of my great and wonderful love for my mother and father. And because I felt as though my mother and father loved me so much, they did not want me to run into the street. Out of fear that I was going to get a whooping, I didn't run back in the street. As time went by and I got older, I learned to understand the reason why my mother and father didn't want me to run into the street. Now, if we stop at fear in teaching our children, they're going to have a warped conception of our love. Am I right?
Yes.
So we help them by moving them. You don't keep using fear, but you teach them and help them to grow and understand. God does the same thing with us. This is a sidebar from this. I'm going to get back to this, but I want to bring this out because a lot of us just get stuck. So when we listen to sermons about the second coming, and we get afraid, and we listen to sermons about hell, we get afraid, and so we're afraid to die, and we're more afraid to die than we are happy about the thought of going to heaven and living forever. So what do you think we project to people? We can talk about the love of God, but we don't project that. We project fear. Some of us, not all. And if I'm stuck in fear, I'm not growing. My understanding of God is not expanding. And that's what God wants. See, God don't want you and I in heaven because we're afraid of hell. All that means is this first opportunity I get to do something and I think I won't get caught, I'm going to do it. Why am I bringing this up? Because the Sadducees and the doctors who the paralytic went to looking for help, it's the way they felt. All God does is punish. And if you're in the situation you're in right now, you're paralytic because of what you've done and you deserve it. Well, let me finish reading this so I can let you go. So then it says, the Pharisees regarded affliction as an evidence of divine displeasure, and they held themselves aloof from the sick and the needy. Yet often these very ones who exalted themselves as holy were more guilty than the sufferers they condemned. See, that's why it's important that we really need to understand the Ten Commandments. Because while some of us are talking about people who are not keeping the Sabbath and who are not doing other things, we're breaking the Sabbath ourselves. Or we forget the first commandment, thou shalt have no other gods before me. And how many times have you broken that one this week? But we want to judge other people because of the situation they're in. It says the palsied man was entirely helpless, and seeing no prospect of aid from any quarter, he sunk in despair. Then he heard of the wonderful works of Jesus. He was told that others as sinful and as helpless as he had been healed. God wants all of us to understand, no matter how dark, how deep, how desperate your situation may be, he can and will help you. And when this man heard about if Jesus can heal a leper, and I've done these things to myself and I'm here, maybe he can help me. But then she goes on to say, but his hope failed when he remembered how the disease had been brought upon him. See, sometimes you and I will allow guilt to keep us from coming to God. We'll allow guilt to keep us from coming to Christ. We'll allow guilt to keep us from believing that God will not only forgive me, but help me. She says, yet it was not for physical restoration he desired, so much as relief from the burden of sin. See, the paralytic didn't go to Christ and ask his friends to take him in order for him to be healed from being paralyzed. He asked them to take him because what he wanted was to be free from the guilt of the things that he knew he had done.